Hello, I am AARP Senior Vice President Bill Walsh, and I'd like to welcome you to this important conversation about navigating financial uncertainty during these challenging times. Throughout the program, we'll hear from well-known personal finance journalist Jean Chatzky, who will share valuable guidance and answer your questions live. Before we begin, if you'd like to hear this telephone town hall in Spanish, press *0 on your telephone keypad now.
Si usted desea escuchar en español, presione *0 en su teléfono ahora.
AARP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan membership organization, has been working to promote the health and well-beings of older Americans for more than 65 years. Through events like this, AARP continues to provide information and resources to help older adults and those caring for them. Economic uncertainty and rising costs have increased anxiety and stretched financial resources for many Americans. The impact is especially acute for older Americans, many of whom are on fixed incomes. Some are reevaluating their budgets, rethinking their retirement plans, and wondering if now is the right time to make purchases. To help make sense of it all, we'll hear from personal finance expert and best-selling author Jean Chatzky, who will share her practical insights and take your questions live. For those of you joining us on the phone, if you'd like to ask a question, press *3 at any time on your telephone keypad. You'll be connected with an AARP staff member who will note your name and question and place you in a queue to ask that question live. If you're joining on Facebook or YouTube, you can drop your question into the comments section. Hello, if you're just joining, I'm Bill Walsh with AARP, and I want to welcome you to this important discussion about navigating financial uncertainty and protecting your financial future. To ask your question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad or drop it into the comments section on Facebook or YouTube. Now I'd like to welcome our special guest today. Jean Chatzky is a personal finance expert, best-selling author, and CEO of HerMoney.com. For years, she's helped people make smart decisions about saving, spending, and planning for the future. Today, she's here to share some timely advice and answer your questions live. Welcome to the program, Jean.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us. So let's get right to it. Jean, many older adults are watching the ups and downs of the market, and they're wondering what they should do with their savings. They may feel the need to get out of the market and sell assets to preserve what they have. What are some common financial mistakes older adults make during economic downturns?
So let me just say I understand the temptation to sell during economic downturns, especially if the markets are sliding. It can be really, really difficult to watch your balance fall rather than seeing it grow, as we've been so fortunate to do over the past couple of decades. The problem is that many of the very, very best days in the market happen during these periods of downturn, during recessions even, or during bear markets. And if you, investor, miss the best days in the market, a handful of the best days over a 10 or 20 or even 30-year period, your returns are going to be a fraction of what they would have been. So you've got to figure out a way to keep your emotions in check and to stay with the investment plan that you laid out for yourself. Now, hopefully that means you've got an asset allocation, a balance of stocks and bonds and cash that makes sense for you. But once you have that, you don't want to let what's going on in the market or in the economy derail you. Another mistake that I see people making during economic downturns is continuing to live as if the times were as good as they were before. I would so love it if every individual had a fully funded emergency cushion, but we know that that's just not the case. And so it's important to tighten your belt a little bit when you know that we're in an economic downturn, just in case something happens, just in case you lose a job and it takes you a little bit longer to find the next one. And by the same token, not keeping your network up to date, not keeping your in profile and your resume up to date, those are also mistakes because you want to be looking for that next job while you already have one at times like this.
That sounds like sensible advice. Now, should the volatility of the last few months cause you to reconsider when to claim Social Security or make other changes to your retirement plans?
Not necessarily. Can we deal with these one at a time? When it comes to claiming Social Security, your best move by the numbers is typically going to be waiting until you're as close to age 70 as possible. And that's look at the math. For every year that you typically wait, and I say typically because there are some nuances here depending on your age and your marital status, and your income, but typically for every year you wait to claim benefits between age 62 and age 70, you get a bump in benefits of about 8% a year. That is enormous. And it is tough to replicate with any sort of other investment, particularly in a guaranteed way. So I would not let the volatility force you into claiming Social Security any earlier than you absolutely have to. If the markets have knocked your balance in your 401k down, if you sold when things got rough and you were not around to see the markets go back up, you may have the option to continue working for a little longer. And that may be a very, very good idea. From research is that even if you can work an additional 6 months or 12 months, it's like the equivalent of adding an additional 1% in savings to your 401k account over a 30-year period. It's really, really powerful. So if you're looking at your retirement and you're not feeling as if you're in the kind of shape you want to be, look at the other changes that you can make, the things that you can control that can put you back in the driver's seat and make you feel a little bit better.
Okay, well, maybe you could outline for us some safer choices and maybe also share your thoughts about alternative investments we've heard so much about, like crypto and gold.
Well, when it comes to safer investment choices, every person still needs some exposure to stocks through their lifetime because that's what's going to enable us to keep pace with taxes and inflation. But the percentage that we have in stocks should shrink as we get closer to any goal. And in this case, the goal is retirement. As you age, you want to have a decreasing portion of your assets in stocks and an increasing portion in as you refer to, safer investments. These are typically bonds, government bonds, sometimes municipal bonds that have advantageous tax treatment. If you've got money that you're keeping in cash, you don't want to keep it in a plain old savings account. Interest rates right now are decent enough that if you look around and you shop for a good high yield savings account or a good CD, you can get a decent on your money, and you should absolutely do that. As far as alternative investments like crypto and gold, I know they've been in the news a lot lately. I know that they are often spoken of as hedges against inflation. That's been true of gold historically. I think having a small amount of your money in alternative assets is okay. But when I say small, I'm really talking about a percentage point or two. I'm not talking about this being the meat and potato building blocks of your portfolio. That really still needs to be allocated to stocks and bonds and cash.
Great. Now, for our listeners, if you'd like to ask a question to Jean Chatzky, press *3 on your telephone keypad at any time. We are going to go to those questions in just a moment. But before we do, Jean, let me ask you, what are the financial considerations for retirees versus those folks who are still in the workforce? Should they be doing anything differently?
When you're retired, you have to look at the levers that you actually can control. Many people, and you know this, Bill, from all the work that you've done with AARP over the years, many people are now working in retirement. If you have the ability to pick up some part-time income, that's going to pad your bank accounts and potentially your brokerage accounts and just give you a little bit of extra powder to weather these downturns in the market and perhaps be able to stave off having to sell brokerage investments when they're down in order to fund your lifestyle. You should also look at your spending. A lot of people just don't pay enough attention to their spending, to our spending on a regular basis. And for a month or so, going through the exercise of tracking where your money is going really does put you in control. It allows you to see going to food, what's going to subscriptions, what's going to the gasoline that you're putting in your car, what's going to healthcare, what's going to travel. And once you know what those levers are, you can then start nudging them in the direction that you want to see them go. You can start spending a little less on some of those categories in order to bolster your savings that are so important at a time like this.
Yeah, it sounds like looking at potential savings is really sensible. What about paying down personal debt? Would credit card debt be at the top of your list?
100%. When we look at when we look at the return on any investment, paying down debt gives us a return equal to the interest rate on that investment. So if you've got high interest rate credit card debt and it's costing you 20% a month, 25% a month, just by paying that down, you get a 20 to 25% return on your money. The other huge advantage to focusing on paying down high interest rate debt is that nothing stresses us out financially as much as carrying debt. We see this in surveys of financial wellness all the time. So if you can eliminate some of that debt burden from your monthly obligations, you're going to lighten your load in more ways than one.
Yeah, that's great advice, Jean. Thank you so much. It's now time to address your questions live with personal finance expert Jean Chatzky. As a reminder, press *3 at any time on your telephone keypad to be connected with an AARP staff member and share your questions live. A quick note, financial viewpoints shared today by Jean Chatzky and this program are intended as basic educational insights only. For personalized financial decisions, please consult with a qualified financial professional. Now I'd like to bring in my AARP colleague, Director LaToya Peterson, to help facilitate your calls today. Welcome, LaToya.
Thanks, Bill. I'm happy to join you for this very important conversation.
All right. Who do we have first on the line?
It looks like we have an online question from Don as a Facebook listener. Don asks, what if I had to retire with disability at the age of 51 due to head and neck injuries from a car accident?
Okay. Jean, any advice for Dawn or any other folks who had to retire early because of injuries they're not able to work?
Yeah, in that case, you have to pay more attention than most to the money that's coming in and where it's going, right? When we look at our money, there are really only two sides to the equation. There's the money coming in and there's the money going out. And if you have very little control over what's coming in, you have to be extra vigilant about what's going out. I'm really sorry that this happened to you and that you find yourself in this situation. But I know that you're not alone. I know that a lot of people have found themselves in similar situations. So, think about different ways to get creative, to cut your large expenses, your housing expenses, for example, by perhaps doing what so many people are doing these days and cohabitating with friends or family members of different generations. If there are things that you can do to earn even a little bit money by working remotely, doing some work from the comfort of your home, whatever is within your ability and skill set, that's also a good thing to think about. And then by all means, try your best not to inflate your expenses by taking the very, very best care of your health that you absolutely can.
Okay, thanks very much. LaToya, who's up next?
Our next caller is Patrice from Connecticut.
Hey, Patrice, welcome to our program. Go ahead with your question.
My question is, I'd like to know, is it better to put money into a Roth than a 401k? Because every time you take money out your 401k, you got to pay taxes on that money.
That's a great question, Patrice. Jean?
Yeah, Patrice, there are advantages to both Roth accounts and traditional 401k or IRA accounts. When we put money into a traditional 401k or IRA account, we get a tax deduction for making that contribution. So it reduces our tax bill in that year. The money then grows tax deferred, but you are right. When you get to the end of the line, when you get to retirement and you pull that money out, you have to pay income on that money at your current tax rate. A Roth is the opposite. When you put money into now, you've already paid the taxes on that money. The balance can be invested. It can continue to grow. You will never owe additional taxes on that money, and you can pull it out of the account tax-free. You also have the advantage of pass it along to your heirs with no taxes, which is great if you can afford to do that. The question you have to ask yourself is my tax rate down the road going to be higher or lower than it is right now? And that's a factor of a couple of things. It's a factor of where tax rates in general go. If tax rates in general go up in the future, Roths will prove to be advantageous than we think. If your tax rate, though, because your income falls, goes down, you may benefit by having money in that traditional account. So personally, I like the idea of splitting the difference. I like the idea of having some money in a Roth account and some money in a traditional account, so that in those years when your income is not particularly great, you can pull out of the traditional account, and in the others, you can pull from the Roth, and you can sort of toggle between them.
Okay, very good. LaToya, who do we have up next?
Thanks, Bill. Our next question comes from Joyce in Ohio.
Hey, Joyce, welcome to our program. Go ahead with your question for Jean Chatzky. Joyce, welcome to the program. Go ahead with your question.
That I invest in an individually managed account. This account would have major stocks in it, and it would have a fee of 1.64% of the total invested amount. Is this something that is appropriate for a woman who's 81 years old?
Jean, do you have any insights on that?
I need to ask you to repeat the fee. Did she say 0.64% or
She said 1.64%.
So for a mutual fund or a managed account, that is not an onerous fee. That's a fee that is well in line of the ordinary. You can certainly do better by putting your money into index funds or ETFs, which basically just track a particular index, the S&P 500 or the total, and bring the fee on that down. But the problem is I don't know exactly what's in this fund, and so it makes it very, very difficult for me to weigh in on whether it's appropriate for you. At your age, Joyce, you probably don't want to have more than 30 or 40 at the most percent of your money in stocks, with the rest in safer havens, in bonds and cash. You definitely need some in stocks because, as I said earlier, you're going to need money to keep pace with taxes and inflation, because these days we've got a lot of 80-year-olds who are living well past 100, which is amazing. But without knowing exactly what's in this fund, I can't honestly tell you if this is the right thing for you. What I would say is that if you've got a question like this about your entire financial structure, this is a really good time to counsel of a financial advisor. And you don't have to put a financial advisor on the payroll for the rest of your life. You can see a financial advisor for a few hours and pay them for their time on an hourly basis, like you would do with a therapist, for example. There's also a really wonderful not-for-profit if you feel that you're unable to afford the services of a financial advisor, called Savvy Ladies. And Savvy Ladies is staffed with certified financial planners who will help you figure out questions like this on a more personalized basis.
I love that. Savvy Ladies. Let's see. That's SAVVYLADIES.org. SavvyLadies.org. Check it out. Thanks, Jean. LaToya, let's take another question.
Okay, our next question comes from Cecilia in PA. Go ahead, Cecilia.
So my question is regarding RMD. I've been told that when I turn 73, I'm going to have to start taking RMD on my 401k. I'm 72. I turned 73 this year. I am still working part-time right now. Probably going to be going back full-time, but I'm also thinking I'd like to retire. So what do I do about my 401k when I do retire? And how does this whole RMD affect me?
Yeah, Jean, we've heard a lot of questions about the required minimum distribution. Maybe you can talk our audience through that.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard a lot of questions about RMDs. The goal line keep where RMDs are concerned. It used to be that you had to take them starting at age 70 and a half, then it was 72, now 73, eventually it will be 75. But basically, this is a formula based on your age, the amount of money in your account, and lifespans that the IRS basically gives you a number for the amount of money that you do have to take out of these traditional 401k and IRA accounts each year, because you haven't paid taxes on them yet, and the government wants their money. If you don't need the money, you have a couple of choices. You can take out what they tell you to take out, and you can reinvest it in a regular brokerage account. Or if you're inclined to give money to charity, you can actually give up to $100,000 directly out of your IRA to charity without it being taxed to the charity. It's a nice little way to get around it and sort of give more for less. But unfortunately, there's no way to completely escape RMDs. Once they start, they will continue. And if you've got money split between Roth accounts and traditional accounts, you're going to want to look at the balance that you pull from each. Again, it's just a way of life in retirement, and you should make sure that you understand what will be coming out and how much will be taxed.
Okay, thank you, Jean, and thank you for all those great questions. We're going to take more of your questions in just a moment. But first, a special feature I want to let everyone know about. All during today's program, we are offering some individual assistance on Social Security. Former Regional Communications Director Steve Richardson is standing by and answering your Social Security questions right now. If you want assistance on your Social Security question, please listen closely. If you're listening to the program online, place your Social Security question in the comments section. Please do not include any personal information, including your age or financial information. You can also send an email to Steve at ssqa@aarp.org. That's ssqa@aarp.org. Steve will be answering your questions on Social Security and continue to answer the questions as they are received. Before we return to our conversation with personal finance expert Jean Chatzky, let's take a moment and hear how AARP is fighting for you. To tell us more, here's AARP's Chief Advocacy and Engagement Officer, Nancy LeaMond. Nancy, welcome to the program.
Well, thanks, Bill. Great to be here.
Great to have you. Nancy, this year Social Security turns 90. Can Americans count on the program to reach its 100th or 125th anniversary?
Well, that's what we're fighting for. Social Security is a promise made to the American people, and it's one that must be kept. For 90 years, Social Security has done what it's meant to do, help people retire with dignity and financial security after a lifetime of hard work. We're hearing from people across the nation and across the political spectrum. They tell us they want Social Security to do what it's supposed to do, make payments on time, and provide assistance when help is needed. Many acknowledge the president's commitment to protect Social Security, but they all say the same thing: protect what we've earned. Folks who've paid into Social Security are counting on it to be there when they retire, and AARP's priority is to make sure that it is.
Okay, that's fantastic. So what is AARP doing to recognize the milestone of the 90th anniversary?
Well, for the next 3 months leading up to the 90th anniversary in August 14th to be precise, AARP is going to put a spotlight on how important Social Security is to all Americans. This coast-to-coast effort will include listening sessions and other events like this one to bring people together and hear directly from folks across the country. And we're inviting members of Congress to join us. We'll be emphasizing the impact Social Security makes on people's lives and how we've earned it through hard work and every paycheck. We're focused on making sure Social Security remains strong today, and we'll use every moment of the next 90 days to make that case.
Okay, Nancy, there's been a lot of news recently about the Social Security Administration staff reductions and field offices closing. A lot of people are concerned about the impact of all this. What should they know?
Well, last month, the Social Security Administration announced that phone services will continue for all claim types, rolling back a previous proposal that would have curbed the ability to file claims by phone. This is great news. We've encouraged that the Social Security Administration is listening to AARP members and millions of older Americans across the country about the impact the customer service changes would have on their lives. AARP has been pushing back hard when something doesn't look right. and will fight tooth and nail to strengthen Social Security, not just for today's retirees, but for all those future generations as well.
What does AARP want lawmakers to know right now?
We want lawmakers to understand one thing loud and clear. Social Security is more than a budget line item. It's a lifeline. This is money Americans have earned every paycheck, every year, over a lifetime of work. They're not asking for favors. They expect the help they need and the payments they were promised. So when talk starts up about changing access to services or using Social Security as a bargaining chip, AARP is going to push back. Bottom line, AARP is here to make sure lawmakers know that protecting Social Security isn't just good policy, it's good politics. Because voters across this country, from conservatives to liberals, expect them to stand up and defend it.
Okay, now how can AARP members share their own concerns and frustrations?
Well, if you're frustrated, you are not alone and you are not powerless. One voice might be easy to ignore, but when millions of us speak up, Congress and the Social Security Administration pay attention. Town halls matter. When your member of Congress holds one, be there. Ask the tough questions. Share your story. If they've got a local office, stop by. Make a phone call. Write an email. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just tell them what's not working and why Social Security matters to you and your family. And if you're ready to speak up for Social Security, to add your name and pledge to be part of this fight right now, you can press 1 on your telephone keypad to say, we earn our Social Security through every paycheck and deserve every penny, and great customer service.
All right. Thank you so much, Nancy. And again, AARP is recognizing Social Security's 90th anniversary with a pledge to ensure its continued strength and reliability for current and future generations. Please press 1 on your telephone keypad to add your name right now. That's 1 on your telephone keypad to pledge your support right now. Thank you so much, Nancy LeaMond.
Thanks, Bill.
Okay, now it's time to return to our personal finance expert, Jean Chatzky. And a reminder, if you'd like to ask Jean a question, press star 3 on your telephone keypad at any time. Jean, is now the time to use emergency savings if you've set something aside?
In an emergency, absolutely. I'm always sort of stunned by the fact that there are a lot of people out there who really have struggled to save for emergencies, and when an emergency comes along, they don't give themselves permission to use the money. This is what the money is for. That said, it doesn't mean that the money is to be used frivolously, right? When we're in the middle of an economic downturn, things take longer. It takes longer to get the next job. Prices might be higher because of things like tariffs, because of things like continued inflation. And so you want to be vigilant and careful about how you use those emergency savings. But you were able to build them up, and you'll be able to build them up again once we turn the economic corner. So don't tighten your belt so much that you don't allow yourself to live on this good work that you've done previously.
And what about other sources, Jean? I mean, I wonder if this is a time to tap into your home's equity, refinance, or take other actions if you've got a cash flow issue.
It certainly can be. If you don't have sufficient emergency savings, or even if you do, but you have a considerable amount of home equity, I think having a home equity line of credit as a back pocket emergency cushion that you don't access unless you absolutely have to is a really good idea. For a lot of people who are late Gen Xers or boomers, a lot of our wealth is tied up in our homes. That's just the way it is. It is the largest asset for a great many people. And so using that home equity wisely, whether you refinance, whether you take out a home equity loan or line of credit, even using a reverse mortgage in certain specific cases can be the smart move. You just need to think about what you're taking out and what that means for the financial future.
Now, this is all great advice, Jean, but these conversations are really hard. How can older Americans speak with family about their money worries without creating more stress for everybody?
I know that these conversations are hard. I had them over the years with my parents, with my stepfather. I think we present with information more than emotionally, if we can, and this means carving out a time to have one of these conversations that isn't already fraught with a lot of emotion. This is not, you don't want to do this around the Thanksgiving dinner table, right? When emotions are likely to already be running a little bit high. Pick a calm time, sit down and explain, if you want to do it one adult child at a time, what's going on in your life, what kind of help you might need. Be specific about where your resources are running short, because your family members may be able to help you with cash if they're able, but they also may be able to help you with resources. They also may be able to help you by pointing you in the direction of additional benefits that you didn't know were available, or from the government or from your community. Just be as open and honest as you possibly can, because doing so, and again, I know this from the perspective of being the adult child on the other side of the conversation, it really gives us the information that we need to best help.
Yeah. Well, let's get specific for a second. What if you're financially helping a parent or a child and you just can't afford to continue doing it? How do you approach a difficult conversation like that?
Again, I think you do it with total honesty and candor. Things happen in the lives of our close family members, the kind of close family members that would be helping each other with money. And we sometimes think that the rest of our family doesn't see it, but they know, right? They know when you're stressed. They know when you're under pressure. So if you have been helping a parent or a child and something has changed, maybe with your own job, maybe with your own health, and you can't continue, then you sit down and you're really honest and you say, look, it has been my pleasure to be able to help you in this way. But I just lost a job. I just lost an important contract. I just lost a source of income that has been meaningful to me for a long time, or I've experienced a health setback of my own, and I'm not going to be able to continue to send you a check each month or to continue to deposit money in your bank account. But you matter so much to me, and I would like us to put our heads together and think about other ways that I could continue to help you. Yeah. And maybe this means a change in living situation all around. Maybe it means that other siblings who haven't been asked to contribute now step up and contribute. I was raised with a mom who really did not like the idea of family meetings. She felt like family meetings put one child or another on the defensive. So I want to respect that for people who feel the same way. But sometimes you kind of have to rally the troops, and you've got to get everybody who cares about the older parent or the child together to work on this problem as a group. Yeah. Because when you work as a group, you have a lot more in terms of both resources and ideas.
Yeah, it's really hard, and it's so emotional. I wonder, in what other ways can this financial uncertainty that so many people may be feeling these days affect us or those we love?
Nothing stresses us out as much as money. I've seen so much research on this over the years. You know, there are 4 dimensions to what we call wellness. There's the financial, there is the social, there's your physical health, and there's the emotional. And finances stress us out more than any other dimension, with the small exception of members of Gen Z. They're more stressed out by issues of mental health. But financial uncertainty is, it's really daunting. It's scary not to know if the markets are going to come back, although historically we know the markets have always come back. It's scary to go into a recession or a bear market, although what we know is that recessions are shorter lived than periods of growth in this country. It's been this way historically for decades. We can reasonably expect that it will be that way again. But for me, I am a bit of a data nerd. I find it helpful to go back to the numbers, to look at the statistics that tell us that this will pass, right? I mean, I look at my own life of reporting on financial crises. I was at my desk in 1987 during Black Monday, have been through the ups and downs of the dot-com boom and bust, 9/11, the financial housing crisis, the Great Recession, COVID. We all lived through COVID. All of these things passed. We got through all of them. We will get through this.
All right, Jean Chatzky, thank you for that perspective. We could all use it these days. It's now time to address more of your questions live with personal finance expert Jean Chatzky. As a reminder, press *3 at any time on your telephone keypad to be connected with an AARP staff member to share your questions live. And a quick reminder, the financial viewpoints shared today by Jean Chatzky on this program are intended as basic educational insights only. For personalized financial decisions, please consult with a qualified financial professional. LaToya, who do we have on the line now?
Thanks, Bill. It looks like we have Rod from Michigan.
Go ahead. Welcome to the program. Go ahead with your question, Ron.
I have some property, real property, and also some antique items, cars and things that seem to be increasing in value faster than my other investments. But at my age, and how does one decide to sell them, and if they put them into a trust or retirement, or to try to hang on to them through a trust? I'm working on trying to have a family trust, but I'm not sure what's the best strategy.
Well, let's ask Jean Chatzky that. Jean, Rod, I believe, is 81 years old. Do you have any suggestions for him or other folks in his position?
I absolutely do. I love this question so much because when we talk about real property, generally we're talking about real estate. I know we're talking about things like cars here as well that are increasing in value. And a lot of people have this thought that, I'll buy some rental properties and they'll carry me through, the income will carry me through my retirement. And it's a great thought because, having a stream of income that continues in that way is really, really valuable. The mistake that people make, and I think you've happened on it, Ron, is not realizing how much work it is to be a landlord, how much work it is to take care of make sure that those cars are not only maintained, but really well taken care of. I don't pretend to know anything about caring for classic cars, but I'm sure that there's a lot of work involved. And so my feeling here is that when the amount of work gets to be too much, putting your money in the markets over time has been a very a very good way to grow your wealth. Is it going to be the hot flavor of the month? In some years, and in other years, not so much. But historically, since inception, both the Dow and the S&P have returned somewhere around the rate of 9 or 10% a year. And if you're okay with returns like that, and I'm personally okay with returns like that, they're fantastic, then I think there comes a point at which you say, I don't want to do the work. And if your children want to take over and do the work, then fantastic, you can keep it going. But if not, you should know that you've got alternatives.
Well, let's hope we get back to those returns very soon. LaToya, who do we have on the line right now?
Okay, Bill, our next question comes from Mel in Colorado. Go ahead, Mel.
Good morning from Colorado. Thanks for taking my call. I am retired. My wife is going to be retiring very soon. I need to pay down some debt. So I would like to know if it's beneficial for me to take that out of my IRAs to pay that down so I will be able to survive and get medical coverage once we both retire.
That's a great question. Jean, can you help Mel?
Sure. It's a bit of a dance. When you're paying down high interest rate debt, you want to look at sources of money that perhaps are not immediately taxed, right? If you've got the ability to get on a payment plan using the ordinary income that you've got coming in, I would look at that first. The money in your retirement accounts really needs to last you over the next 30 years. And taking out, it's difficult to answer without knowing the size of the debt that we're talking about or the interest rate on the debt that we're talking about. But pulling money out of a retirement account means a couple of things. It means, A, you're going to be taxed on that money as long as it's a traditional account. It also means that the money doesn't have the opportunity to continue to grow tax deferred, which is a considerable benefit. So I would say look at other options before you raid that IRA. And if your credit is good, look for different ways to refinance that debt so that you can pay it off both faster and cheaper. If we're talking about credit card debt, that could be a balance transfer card where you have a 0% interest rate for 12 to 18 months, which can allow you to make some considerable headway. It could be a personal loan, which compared to a credit card at 25% has an interest rate of 9 or 10%. It could even be a home equity loan. So look at the other available sources to try to make this debt more manageable as well.
Okay, thanks very much, Jean. LaToya, who do we have up next?
Our next question comes from Larry in New Mexico. Go ahead, Larry.
Hello. First of all, thank you for your time and information. If one is retired and decides to go back to work, is there a threshold monthly, quarterly, or annually where benefits are not impacted? And a second part of that question, are there exceptions to that threshold or amount of income one can earn and not affect benefits?
Larry, can I ask Larry a follow-up? Do we still have
If
it?
he's still there, go ahead and ask.
Yes,
Larry,
I'm
how
here.
old are you?
I'm 74, going to be 75 next month.
You're in the clear. So it's an age. It's age related. Social Security benefits can be reduced based on the amount of income that you earn, but really that only happens until you hit full retirement age. So you've passed that, and you've passed age 70, which is another threshold. So you don't have to worry about it. Where we look to balance the amount of money that we're earning against our Social Security benefits to make sure that we're not giving more back to the government or reducing our benefits in any way really happens in our 60s.
Okay, very good. Thank you for all those questions. We're going to be taking more questions from our listeners shortly. But a few announcements. A reminder, if you have questions about Social Security, former Regional Social Security Communications Director Steve Richardson is standing by right now to help answer those questions. If you're listening to our program online, place your Social Security question in the comments section. Please do not include any personal information, including age or financial details. If you're on the phone, you can send an email to Steve at ssqa@aarp.org. That's ssqa@aarp.org. And Steve will be answering your questions live and continue to answer your questions until there are no questions left. That's Steve's commitment to excellence and to all of our listeners. Also, for our next Real Answers Right Now from AARP program, Jean Chatzky and additional experts will answer your questions live. So plan to join us on June 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for that program. And to join the fight to protect Social Security, to join with AARP to ensure its continued strength and reliability for current and future generations, press 1 on your telephone keypad right now. Let us now return to your questions for Jean Chatzky. LaToya, who's next on the line?
Thanks, Bill. We have Alan from PA.
Hey, Alan, welcome to the program. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, so I have my wife died 5 years ago. I'm in my 60s. I am retired. I collect her Social Security. If I get remarried, how does that affect my Social Security benefits?
Jean, can you help with that?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Alan, and I'm very sorry about your loss. If you were to remarry, and honestly, there's a wrinkle here, and I want to make sure that I don't get this one wrong. Steve Richardson might be a better one to actually answer it for you, so maybe he can do it in the chat. But I believe that if you remarry, you may need to be claiming on your own record. I am not 100% sure. So, Bill, if we could punt that one to Steve, I would really appreciate it.
Well, I know we have staff on the line. Maybe they can get that question into the queue for Steve Richardson, and we can get Alan an answer to that. LaToya, who's next?
We have next Henry from North Carolina. Go ahead, Henry.
Yes. What is the age limit to take, money out of your Roth account without paying taxes?
Jean?
Excuse me, could you repeat that? What's the age limit to take money out of your Roth account without paying taxes?
Yes, that was the question.
Yes.
As long as the money has been in the Roth for 5 years, you can take it out at any point.
Without tax implications.
Without tax. You've already paid the taxes. That's the difference between a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. You've already paid the taxes on your contributions. So you've got the ability to pull those contributions out and earnings after 5 years without paying taxes.
Okay, and presumably if it's within that 5 years, you will have some tax consequences.
Not on the contributions, but on the earnings themselves.
Got it. Okay. All right, LaToya, let's take another question.
Okay, we have Jay from Ohio. Jay, go ahead with your question.
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead with your question.
Okay. My question is cryptocurrency as far as making money. I heard that if you put in an increment of about $10,000, you can double your money in about a year. What do you think of cryptocurrency as a investment?
Jean Chatzky. You're on.
So I would not believe anybody who promised me a doubling of my return on anything in any year. So let's just sort of put that out there. I think that anybody who promises you to be able to double your money, you have to be incredibly skeptical and incredibly careful. That said, cryptocurrency is a lot more acceptable as an asset class than it used to be. We've got institutions like BlackRock. The CEO of BlackRock came out and he said, yes, I believe that this is an asset class and you should be thinking about putting 1% to 2% of your portfolio in cryptocurrency. 1% to 2%. And the reason that number is so low is because cryptocurrency is incredibly volatile. If you look at what has happened in Bitcoin in just the past 4 or 5 month period, you've seen these violent swings where the price dropped all the way down into the $70,000 range, and now it's back up over $100,000. That's huge volatility, which is my way of saying don't put any money into cryptocurrency that you aren't prepared to lose. Could you make some money on it? You could, but you could also lose it.
Gene, that's what my father used to say about walking into a casino. Don't bet anything you weren't prepared to lose.
Exactly.
Okay, LaToya, let's take another question.
Okay, looks like we have Nancy from New York. Go ahead, Nancy.
Hi there. Again, thank you for hosting this today. I really enjoy these forums. So my question is, I'm not going to give my age, but my husband is older than me by a few years, and I worry when he passes, how does that affect me, and what can I do to make the most out of the situation? Yeah, because right now it's actually hard. It's hard with the economy, and so I'm trying not to panic about the thought that he might go before me, and so that's my question.
Yeah, and Nancy, thank you so much for the nice words about these Tele-Town halls. My husband's a few years older than me as well, and I know that can feel scary at times. What I would like to make sure is that you've got your eyes on your family's financial picture. I see an awful lot of women who lose their husbands because, look, the facts of longevity are that we tend to outlive them, and have not participated enough in the family's finances to know how to manage things and run things. So if you haven't done it already, I want to make sure that you know where everything is, the important papers, that you know where the accounts are held, that you know the passwords for getting into the online accounts, that you have a relationship with, if you have a financial advisor or an attorney or an accountant, that you know those people, that you go to the meetings, because that's where the answers to your question are going to come from. You'll be able to figure out, if he were to outlive you, what sort of resources you'll have remaining, what it will mean for you to step into his shoes in terms of receiving his Social Security benefits, if that is the better thing for you to do, what sort of options you'll have as far as the life that you want to have going forward. But it's when we take our eyes off the ball that we get into real trouble. And I think I said earlier, I think that having the information is a confidence booster. It just makes you feel less vulnerable to know exactly where you stand, even if you determine by knowing that you have to make some changes about how you're living today.
Yeah. Jean, thank you so much. This has been such an informative discussion. Thank you for sharing your valuable insights and answering all of the questions here today. We truly appreciate you for contributing to this important conversation, so many we've done with you over the years. Also, a thank you to our AARP members, volunteers, and listeners for participating in the discussion today. AARP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan membership organization, has been working to promote the health and well-being of older Americans for more than 65 years. All of the resources referenced today, including a recording of the Q&A event, can be found at aarp.org/conversations starting tomorrow, May 16th. Thank you and have a good day. This concludes our call.